Hi everybody, I'm Jackie Chan. I'm grateful that Pat and Raisin from our center invited me to join the Asia group to take up the role of the Zoom webinar trainer. 7 years ago, I started volunteering in our Hong Kong center as a photographer. As for my own profession, I'm the IT project management in the financial industry. And I'm also grateful that a few years ago, I started delivering training on how to use Zoom. As for this training video, it's an intro to a series of training for our supporting volunteers at the Asia Center in preparation for our September Zoom webinar. And so I thought this would be beneficial to others as well, so I'm just making this public. So without further ado, I just want to start our Zoom webinar intro. So for today's agenda, what's Zoom webinar, and what are the different roles in the Zoom webinar? And you will often hear the terms rooms when you're doing some language interpretations. So I'll cover that as well, and also I'll list some of the features on the Zoom webinar that I'm going to cover in the upcoming series. So Zoom webinar, just think of it as a traditional seminar that's taken virtual on the web. So of course it's Zoom. So we're going to use the Zoom application. You can either use the PC or the laptop, and basically Windows or Mac it's okay. And then for our other devices like tablets or mobiles, it's supported as well for both Android and iPhone. And it's Zoom, so basically it's around the globe and it's great for conferences. And if you want to be the host, so you'll need to get a paid account. But for joining, it's actually free unless the event itself charges. So what we have here are the different roles in Zoom. So you'll see the 4 different colors. So we have 4 different types of roles here. So there are the host, the co-host, panelists, and the attendees. So from the left side, we have the roles, and then on the right side are the relative descriptions for it and with the matching colors. So starting with the host with the most control, there's basically just one host for your webinar who has full control of the webinar. And then moving downward, we have the co-host, which would be maybe you would have like a few co-hosts for your meetings because the host can't do everything. And so, yeah, the co-host actually would have most of the controls, and which is similar to the host. And then there are the panelists. So the panelists are people who would be the speakers. They would be the supporters, supporting the webinar. They would be doing the share screens. They would be using or controlling the audio and videos. They would be also the people helping with the chat rooms, and then there's also going to be the Q&A. And also, of course, if we're doing multiple languages, the interpreters, who are the most important people basically, would be also the panelists. And then we would have the audience, which is basically the attendees, and they mainly they just listen and they do some interactions. They may be answering the polls. They may be raising hand if they have certain questions, or they may be entering their questions into their Q&As or chat boxes. So basically, that's all about it for the attendees. And you would see that, on the most right hand side. So the number of people would be like the most at the bottom. So you'd have most attendees, and then with just basically the host and co-host being the least amount of people. And so talking about rooms, so when we do multiple languages in a webinar, we would often refer the different languages to the different rooms. So okay, you may hear terms like the big room or the main room or the original audio. Okay, so original audio is one of the terms within within the Zoom menus. Don't worry if you're not getting this, because in my other video, I'll talk about more. I'll talk in depth about like the interpretations and languages. And so just imagine yourself, to make things easy, okay? Imagine yourself in, really a physical convention hall where you would have like a big room, and then maybe you would have different halls having different things happening, right? So, okay, you go into this big event, and then this is the so-called big room, okay? And so you would see like the speakers, like the main speakers, maybe the MCs there. They may be doing it in the main language, for say English, okay? So that's going to happen in the main room. And for those who would want to be in the main room listening to English, so they would be putting themselves in the main room. But maybe for those who doesn't understand English, they want to listen to the Japanese language, for say. So so they would walk themselves to the Japanese room, and then so this Japanese room would of course have the Japanese speaking interpreter, and then there would also be the Japanese audiences, and then we would have many different languages. And so there may be the Thai room, and so if you just want to feel the Thai room, so you'd be moving yourself over there. So basically, just like no matter it's real life or it's in the Zoom webinars, you would actually be in only one room at one time. So I mentioned about the big rooms, and then the small rooms would be like the different languages. And so there's only one language in one room, and then the number of rooms or languages available depends on the number of interpreters. And so some of the features of the Zoom webinar would be like the audio and videos. And then, I'm not going to read all these out. So mainly, these are some of the features available on the Zoom webinar, which I will actually be covering in the upcoming series of the training that's going to be available to you guys to watch. And I would hope for you guys to, watch the videos before our hands-on workshop, because I understand that many of you may be not really good friends with technology, or not very, not having good relationship with Zoom. So, so I'll make sure that there will be a workshop, and so please make sure to watch the upcoming trainings as well. And so that's all for today's video. Thank you very much.